Hey, Joy Blue here, and today I want to talk about the moving average, and I want to calculate a 3-day moving average in SQL. And I'm going to attempt to explain it the best I can. So to first start off, I want to look at a table, and I have it over here in Excel, and I have just a simple date and a revenue figure. So we have January 31st, February 1st, all the way through February 4th. Day by day in a revenue figure. So if I want to do a moving average, and I want to do a 3-day moving average of February 2nd, I would simply say equals average, and I would grab this day and 2 days prior for a total of 3 days. So there's my 3-day moving average. If I wanted the moving average of this day, February 3rd, I would do the same thing, and I would grab 3 days. And so same thing here. So there's those 3 days and their 3-day moving averages. And then on this day here, I only got 2 days, so I would just take an average of the 2 days. And just an average of this 1 day, which is itself. So there's my 3-day moving average. Now, we want to translate that into SQL, and there's a nice little forum post that has a really efficient answer to this. And here is their version of a select statement that works very well. So what I want to do is I want to rewrite this using our table, and I want to explain it to you. So let's go back here to Management Studio, and I have the actual query already rewritten. And let me zoom out so we can get it all on the screen here. And a little more. And there's a couple different parts I want to describe. First, there's a sub-select right here. And I want to talk about that one. And then there's this max here. And then there's this last little part where we add a date back in. So the way they attempted to go after this was simply to set some kind of anchor point in time, which they used 1900 January 1st. And so they took the date and they wanted to see how many days it's been since 1900. And then they also want to see how many days it's been since 1899 December 31st, and then how many days since 1899 December 30th. So this is our anchor date. This is 1 day back, and this is 2 days back. So if we go over here to Excel, we have, if we're trying to get the moving average of February 2nd, we need February 2nd, we need 1 day back, and then we need 2 days back. And so what I've done is actually I've taken this query and I just took the subquery and I want to run it each time. So if we start with the anchor day and I run that, you can see the days since 1900 and you can still see the revenue here. And so if we run the day since 1900 here for December 31st, that's 1 day back, right? We run that and you can see that everything's offset by a day, and then one more we have 2 days back. And so to help you visualize this, I stuck it into an Excel spreadsheet right here. And so when we normalize this, our anchor day, this is the days since 1900. Here's the days since December 31st, 1899. Here's the days since December 30th, 1899. And so what we have, if you look at this, our anchor day of 41,305 days since 1900, well, we're going to want to, for the running average, we want to get these 3. Well, if you look, the way this is set up, we have a day here, and let me just highlight that day, and that day. See how those all group together? And so you can see that when we want to do the moving average, if we group these together, we can get the 3 records we want. Now, let's highlight this day, 41,306. If we highlight that, you'll see there's a little pattern forming, right? And then let's do this one. And then we've got a couple outliers here. And we'll have to do something with those, and I'll talk about those in a second. Now, with this one and our anchor point, what you'll see is we only have 2 to group. Well, when we did the average, all we did was the 2, right? And then we have one more, and it's all by itself. And so then we have these little outliers here, and I'll put those in red because we aren't going to want to do anything with those. If we continued our dates, that's what we would use for those, but we're going to have to filter those out. So let's go back over to our query and see where we're at here. So we have, let me get back to the main query. So here in the subquery, all we're doing is we're offsetting by, we're anchoring the day, then we're offsetting by 1 day and offsetting by 2 days. That gives us our subquery. So now it's as simple as, well, now all we have to do is group by the days since 1900. So back to our spreadsheet, like we said, all we got to do is here is for this record, we would group by, and want to group all the ones that are 41,306, all the ones that are 41,305. And so all we're doing is grouping now. And then look at this. We have this max. We only want where the max actual date is 1. Well, there's this extra column in here, max actual date. For our anchor point of 1, for our anchor point, we set it to 1. For everything else, we set it to 0. Right? Well, if we go back over to Excel, our anchor point, so this is our anchor column here. All these values are set to 1. Whenever they appear, the max is going to be 1. All the rest of these are 0. So for these red cells here, for those are going to have a max of 0 because they don't have any anchor points where the max value is going to be 1, which would be here. So on this max, that's going to filter out those extra red dates. And then finally, the last thing we have to talk about here is that in our subquery, everything is set to days since 1900 or days since this, but basically days since 1900. Well, we want to get it back into our date. Now, in order to do that, we need to take it and convert it back from days back into an actual date. And we do that with the Dateadd. And so that's that full query. So let's go ahead and run this thing. And there are those. So let me grab them and paste them in so we can see if they're what we thought they should be. And you can see that these here are equal. So that is your 3-day moving average, and you can apply that in many different ways. When I was actually doing it for the issue I had, I was doing it in quarters, and so I had a whole bunch of other issues to follow. If you follow the link to the forum post, they actually have a weighted average they're doing in there, which is kind of neat too. So as always, if you find this helpful, please leave a comment below, click the like button, or subscribe to my channel. You can also visit me at SQLtrainingonline.com, and I hope you enjoyed this free video.